Welcome to the Ascension Alchemists podcast. This is Michael Abramson, and this is my solo episode number 10. How are you guys doing today? Here we are at the end of September, and what a month September has been. For it has been a lot of learning and discovering and moving through what I feel a lot of unknown. For I have a question for you. Have you ever decided to do something that you fully did not know how to do it? Like diving into the deep end and figuring out how you were going to navigate out of the situation. Well, this month has been real interesting because there's been this deep passion of mine to share what has been moving through me for many, many months. And at the beginning of this month, I just felt this charge, this urge, this feeling to express myself in a way that I've never done before. And so as many of you may be aware or unaware, I decided to launch my first online master class, in which I really did not have any clue other than just watching, seeing, and just allowing myself to kind of fall, stumble, and just do the best I can. For I remember a mentor of mine says, sometimes you don't know how you're going to do it, just dive into it. And I've seen that many times with myself when I was surfing. I would just choose the biggest wave and go right for it, and then the wave would just knock me on the end. Yet, it's interesting because when you do something, when I've done something I've never done before, there's so much discovery that comes forward. I just have to thank Honey because she's been my assistant or coach right beside me, because when I brought forward this opportunity to just dive into creating a course, placing it online, inviting a group, and just watching what would happen, I really didn't know what was going to come out of it. Think about it. Scan in life where you may have just kind of walked into something, but you didn't have all the answers. Do you ever remember those feelings? Those feelings of, am I going to be able to do this? Okay, are people going to sign up for it? The imposter syndrome starts to show up. Am I ready? Am I good enough? It's so interesting because I know underneath, I've had the training, the decades of information to share all this. Yet diving into something new has really brought forth a whole new learning. And I share this because I feel like it's funny sometimes, because sometimes the mind wants to wait for something to be so perfect, that beautiful ego that wants that everything set up. And have you ever been there where you wanted to have all your T's crossed, all your I's dotted, everything set up perfectly so that when you go into it, there would be not an ounce of fear, no worries, no stress. Yet, that really never happens because the mind's going to continually to think, what could possibly go wrong? What could happen? So this month, I decide to present a 4-week Master Your Health class, discovering the secret keys to open the doors of your divine health. And what was so interesting about it was I really decided to do something different, away from the traditional ends of, okay, this is what you have to eat. Okay, here's the modalities. I wanted to present something that just became an opportunity for people to remember what they already had within them, and the virtues and the laws that are already around us. Because I feel in this discovery of going into the unknown, many of us have forgotten that there are already these keys around us that are helping us. Yet when going through them, sometimes we forget about them because we're clouded by what the mind, our thoughts, our worries, our anxiety will come forth to cover up. So in this journey, it was really funny because as excited, as joyful, as motivated I was, it's interesting what happens when you do something new and those fears come up. Have you ever imagined like you're ready to start something and you feel this excitement, you feel this great ambition, and then all of a sudden there's that little voice in the back of your head. Before you go to bed, the voice starts talking real loud. Or when you wake up in the morning, here comes that voice again. And it's interesting because you really have to like step beyond that little voice and come back to the heart and just feel that passion. It's like, I'm ready. I'm ready to go forward. I'm ready to share, because for those that know me, I love helping people help themselves, that divine empowerment that's within them. So in this month of September, it was really interesting to just start to catch myself in a way that seeing all the little roadblocks, seeing all the little hiccups, all the areas that wanted to prevent me from moving forward in my own passion. And what I've learned about it and what's been so interesting is each of those challenges were like stepping stones to rise to a higher self within me. And I don't know if you've ever noticed, but every time you rise or every time that you get to a new area of yourself, you look back and you say, wait a minute, that wasn't so bad. That wasn't so difficult. And so with these keys, what's been so impressive in sharing is it's been a remembrance of what we already have within us. And I absolutely loved watching people in this beautiful 4-week journey just turn the light bulb within themselves and see, wow, I already have these capabilities. It's just aligning and embodying these keys within us. And I feel that goes really deep within us when sometimes we just have to stop in life and think, do I already have everything within me? And all I need to do is just access the right key to access it and to have the ability to drive it forward. For our body has such an amazing level of wisdom and knowledge. And one of the main reasons why I was so motivated and why I am still excited to take off, not only in this 4-week journey, but to share so much more of that divine wisdom, is to continually expand and evolve what I feel is our natural genetic DNA of that contraction, expansion, evolution, and in our higher consciousness. And so with this course, it was really interesting to watch each week as I was getting involved deeper of that remembrance, new doors started to open up. Doors within myself that I never saw within me. And sometimes we have to step back and say, wow, when we challenge ourselves, isn't it interesting to see that challenge on the other side? Because there's like this beautiful gift that's awaiting for us. Yet we have to go through the challenge, the test, or the lesson. And what I find is that challenge really requires the perseverance. It really requires the ability to be disciplined, not let that funky monkey mind direct you, and really just allow this trust within to say, okay, I'm going to do the best I can. Even though I felt like I tripped and fell many times. For those that know me, technology may not be the best thing, I'm still learning, but just to get the zoom correct or have the screen set up, I mean, once again, what a gift to have Honey as my tech mode, because she really saved the day on several episodes. Yet it's interesting because as we move through our abilities to go through the unknown, I started to learn that we just have to really allow the mistakes and not get so hard on ourselves. Because how easy, think about it, how easy it is when you do something for the first time and you don't do it right. Isn't it funny how the mind wants to judge immediately, like, oh, you could have done so much better. Oh, wow, if you only prepared it this way. Hindsight is 20/20 when you look back. Yet as I come to the completion of this course, it really brings that remembrance of when doing something for the first time and completing it. It's such a congratulations because I really feel we weren't given the rule book when we came into this life for many of the things that we're doing now. The script we're writing right now, and each day we're confronted with areas of unknown. Those days where we don't feel well, or we haven't slept, or sometimes we just feel like life is bringing all these challenges, whether it's in relationships, whether it's our day-to-day external environments of what many of us have felt this month. Yet, when we keep moving forward, I've learned how important it is just to set the direction and just let the sail go. Keep going with the flow, because for me, it felt like there was this deep power within me that just kept saying, go forward. Don't worry about if you don't have all the pieces. Don't worry how many people may join. Don't worry about whether the profit was your goal expected. Just keep moving forward. And I feel that's very important for all of us in life, because sometimes the mind can get so goal-oriented. And if we don't meet it, then we somehow describe it as a failure, which is a lot of our inner core wounds, which prevents us from doing something new. Yet I learned that when I was pushing myself into this level of discomfort, I started to know bigger areas of growth were coming out of me. And all of a sudden, I was applauding even my mistakes, because the more I could laugh about it, the more that I could just say, oh, wow, that's something I didn't know before. I guess I'll do it differently this time. Or, wow, maybe if I would have planned to put my focus on more of the marketing versus the education, there could have been a different turnout. All of these pieces, I feel like when we go through a new experience, when we discover something about ourselves, really just helps uplift us and evolve us. And that's why I appreciate these conversations that I have, that Honey and I have together, because it's really raw and real of what we get to learn about life and how we get to really navigate some of these challenges and difficulties. And for me to walk into the unknown and present something for the first time, an online teaching, which I've had quite a bit of years teaching in person, which is a whole different scene. Teaching with Honey, co-facilitating in different countries. It's another thing when you're on camera and you have all these technicalities and there's all these areas to figure out the lighting and the recording and how the camera is and the quality of the video. It's so interesting. Yet what I learned from it is each time I did something new, it felt like there was this greater version of myself coming online. Each time I tried something that I wasn't quite familiar with, there was a greater level of confidence being born out of that. And I ask you, when you've tried something new, or you're gracefully pushing yourself into areas of discomfort where you may not feel like you want to do it, but you go ahead and do it anyway, isn't it interesting the victory that you feel afterwards? Because what I've learned in this situation was when there's this celebration of allowing a new version to come online, a new aspect that you never thought you could do, and you just went for it, it feels like you can come back and say, I could do so much more now, because every piece along the way is another area that I can improve and that I can get better at. And to take the learnings away, to take the self-sabotage, which I saw many times coming into it, whether I felt like I could have offered so much more, or did I have the correct posture, or was this speaking engagement too fast? Did I include my audience? It's so interesting when doing something for the first time, how there's a lot of internal judgment. Yet when we can keep coming back to saying, you did a good job, keep moving forward, keep allowing yourself to know that this is the first time of many times, and that everyone started at some place. And I find it such a great victory, especially where we are online and there can be this image that's being presented. Yet when we're in person, there's a whole different experience where you can be felt because of that energy, and how to merge both those together so there's that authenticity. That is one area that both Honey and I really appreciate, is when we can be raw, real, and just allow the truth of who we are, because I feel in this day and age, transparency is such an important level to connect and to resonate with what we're doing. So I share this because I feel inspired that in diving into something new and not knowing how to do it gives the opportunity really to look at what I feel is one of the greatest fears that I've been exploring in my own life, and that is the fear of the unknown. And then right behind that fear is the fear of being seen. And then right behind that fear is the fear of mistakes, or the fear of failure. Yet what I discovered was, as I started moving through these fears and taking action, each of those fears started to dissolve. Because when I started to witness the participants' changes, when I saw them reach areas of like, wow, I really need to hear that today. Thank you. This was such a powerful experience. This gave me so much to look forward to and to shift in my health and well-being. Thank you for having the courage. And I just really applaud that, because it's not that we need any external validation or we need any approval, yet that celebration energy helps bring forth that congratulations. And I feel when we feel that congratulations, it allows us to keep moving through areas that may feel uncomfortable. And boy, do we live in a world where it's easy to stay in comfort. It's easy to stay in a place where we can just stay and move and stay in ways where we don't change because that's what the ego likes, or that's what we're trained to do, stay in the box. Yet when we dive into the deep, we may go out without the paddles and we just start to navigate in ways. What I've learned for myself is it's very empowering and it's very uplifting. And I just feel this deeper level of, well, if I could do this, what else can I do? And so I invite each of you, whether it's a goal, whether it's a new activity, whether just putting yourself out there in a discomfort, sit back and just watch and observe. Because sometimes if you just laugh at yourself and just see what you could do not to take yourself so seriously, then it just becomes lighter and easier. Even for this podcast, Honey's been taking this full training and she's like, you ready? Let's get on, let's do this. And I'm like, Honey, I don't know what podcasts are all about, but I'm going to give it my best. I'm going to come on, I'm going to share myself from my heart, and I'm just going to speak on areas that I find that are very important, not only to myself, but they're relatable, because I feel all of us could really experience and know that there's new things that we have to do each day. There are opportunities that may not make us feel comfortable, but we kept moving forward. Because imagine, what would happen if we stopped at everything we did that made us feel uncomfortable? We would never move ahead. And so with this opportunity, it really gave me the ability to say, okay, can I look into my fears? Can I look into the areas that want to stop me and really not pay attention to that inner voice, and then come back to that divine voice that kept reminding me, keep moving forward, keep going. Don't worry about what's happening. Each step gets easier and easier. And that's what I feel so important about this message today is no matter what happens in each new endeavor, whatever comes forward, that it may not have to be a mistake or failure. It could be another way of learning how to do it better. It's only how we judge ourselves in the situation. And so for me, I felt like this was a great opportunity to really create a space that allowed us to discover deeper elements about our health. Because really, most of us see our health from this physical, evidential way of how we look at the body. Yet what I'm so excited to share in deeper levels of training, education, and teachings are there's so much more than meets the eye. And with these 4 keys, it really helps individuals give practical divine laws to apply immediately to move past what sometimes traditional medicine says, nope, we can't fix it. Nope, there's no cure. Yet most know from a holistic alternative way, there are different ways to meet different diagnoses that have been built on linear expressions. And so that is why I'm so excited to share these 4 keys in this journey of mastering your health, which for those that are interested, please contact us at info@ascensionalchemist.com, because it really is an opportunity to empower your health and discover what is already waiting for you. And that's what I feel the message is for today, is when we can discover new aspects about ourselves and we can move through this world where we know the solutions are already within us without focusing on the problems, it makes life so much easier. We move in ease, we move in grace, and we just have this ability to know that there's a greater force, there's a greater power that we have been created from. And in this power, we have such a momentum to apply when we align it and embody within us. And that's what I feel is so important, not only about this course, but for our ability to move into the areas that don't make us feel fully comfortable, to dive into those points that we may not have a full clarity or full picture of what's going to happen. But step by step, breath by breath, there's an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to expand. And when you really think about it, ask yourself, what do we come here to do in this life? Didn't we come here to constantly grow? Didn't we come here to constantly expand and contract and expand? That's the journey of life. And for me, it's been quite a journey for this September to move through a process that was quite confusing, scary, and fearful at times in the inner journey, and then have to meet all the external noise outside of what we all saw in this September and continue to navigate it. And for me, what I find is so important is when we can apply that perseverance, that discipline, and most important, that inner power of telling yourself, you got this, keep going, keep moving forward, then that's going to give that motivation or even greater inspiration to allow something greater than you've never seen within yourself. For me, part of this journey is becoming the greatest version that I can be, so I can share and be of service to all those that are becoming their greatest versions that they already are. They've just lived a scene that hasn't been fully present and fully aware of. And that's what this course is really about, is bringing that awareness to what's underneath that can fully bring the mastery of your health through these 4 sacred keys. And today, bringing that awareness when we dive into the deep end, there's still a great power that's helping you paddle back into that level where you know you can do anything in God's truth, because everything is possible. And when you take that feeling and you breathe that in and you feel that each day, then you become unstoppable. You become unshakable. And then you just keep reminding yourself when that doubt, that fear, that stress comes in, that in God's truth, everything is possible. And that just gives that deeper level of inspiration and passion, because I really feel each of us have these gifts. We have these keys. And when we unlock the doors and we open them up, we're going to see so much potential within us that's going to open our greatest and most powerful versions before us. So once again, I thank all of you for joining today's episode. It is so exciting to come forth in this podcast and just speak about real life situations that we can relate to, we can question, and sometimes we can just laugh at, because if we're taking it too seriously, we're not living. You know, my dad always said, you got to laugh at it all, because at the end of the day, you know, life is so short. And when we can just step back from it and appreciate in gratitude that we had the opportunity to live this quick life, then we can really take into heart of how special each moment is. So once again, thank you all for joining this wonderful podcast today. And I look forward to seeing you once again at Ascension Alchemists podcast.